He was worshipped as a living god. He was butchered by his own bodyguards. And for almost 2,000 years, historians still can't agree whether he was a monster, or a scapegoat. This is the true story of Rome's most infamous emperor. January 24th, 41 AD. Rome. A young man walks through a narrow stone corridor beneath the imperial palace, alone. He has just watched a group of boys rehearse a play. He laughed, he applauded, he is, for a moment, happy. He does not know this corridor will be the last place he ever walks. A group of men are waiting for him in the shadows. Soldiers, his own soldiers. Men who swore an oath to protect his life. The first blow lands on his neck. He turns, he tries to run, there is nowhere to run. More blows follow. 30 of them. Some say more. By the time it is over, the most powerful man in the world, the man who once called himself a living god, lies dead on the cold stone floor. His name was Gaius Julius Caesar Augustus Germanicus. But history remembers him by a different name. A childhood nickname, given to him by hardened soldiers on a military frontier, who found it funny to watch a toddler march around in a tiny pair of army boots. They called him Caligula. Little Boots. The boy who was once the empire's darling, would grow up to become one of the most feared, most hated, and most misunderstood rulers in human history. This is his story. Let's go back to the beginning. The year is 12 AD. Caligula is born into the most powerful family on earth, the Julio-Claudian dynasty. His father, Germanicus, is not just any Roman, he is a legend. A brilliant general, beloved by his soldiers, adored by the public, whispered about as a future emperor. His mother, Agrippina the Elder, is fierce, proud, and fiercely loyal to her husband. As an infant, young Gaius travels with his parents to military camps on the dangerous frontiers of the empire. His mother dresses him in a miniature soldier's uniform, complete with tiny boots, the caligi worn by Roman legionaries. The soldiers adore him. He becomes their mascot. Their good luck charm. They start calling him Caligula. He is maybe 2 years old, and he has no idea that this childish nickname will one day be spoken with fear across the entire Roman world. But childhood, for Caligula, does not stay sweet for long. When he is just 7 years old, his father Germanicus dies suddenly in Syria, under mysterious circumstances. Poison is suspected. Fingers point toward political rivals, toward the emperor himself, Tiberius. His mother is convinced her husband was murdered. She says so publicly. Loudly. Repeatedly. It is a dangerous thing to do in a world ruled by suspicion. Over the following years, Caligula watches his family torn apart, one by one. His mother is exiled and eventually starved to death. His older brothers are imprisoned, one dies of starvation, another is driven to suicide. By the time Caligula reaches his late teens, almost everyone he loves is dead or destroyed. He is 19 years old, and he is completely, terrifyingly alone. There is only one person left with the power to protect him or destroy him completely. The Emperor. Tiberius. In the year 31 AD, Caligula is summoned to the island of Capri, to live in the private compound of the aging, reclusive emperor. Historians describe Tiberius's Capri as a place of paranoia, cruelty, and rumored depravity. It is here, on this isolated island, that 18-year-old Caligula must learn to survive. And survive he does. He becomes a master of concealment. He learns to hide every true emotion behind a calm, obedient mask. Ancient historian Suetonius later writes that Caligula watched his own family members tortured and executed, and showed no visible reaction at all. Some later Romans would say something haunting about those years on Capri, that beneath that calm mask, something inside the young man was quietly breaking. For 6 years, he waits. He watches. He survives. And then, in 37 AD, Tiberius dies. Caligula, now 24 years old, becomes emperor of Rome. And Rome erupts with joy. The people love him instantly. He is young. He is the son of their beloved Germanicus. He represents hope, after years of Tiberius's cold, distant rule. When Caligula arrives in Rome to take power, crowds line the roads for miles. People weep with happiness. They call him their star, their chick, their baby. His first months in power seem to prove them right. He grants bonuses to the military. He recalls political exiles. He ends the treason trials that had terrorized Roman citizens under Tiberius. He hosts lavish public games, and the public cannot get enough of him. For a brief, shining moment, it looks like the golden age has arrived. Then, just a few months into his reign, Caligula falls seriously ill. The ancient sources are frustratingly vague about exactly what happens. Some kind of severe fever, possibly encephalitis, possibly something else entirely. What we do know is this: the young man who recovers is not the same man who fell sick. Suetonius describes it simply. Before the illness, Caligula ruled like a wise and generous prince. After it, something had changed. Almost immediately after his recovery, Caligula has one of his closest allies executed, a man named Macro, the very Praetorian prefect who had helped him secure the throne in the first place. It is the first sign of a chilling new pattern. No one, it seems, is safe. Not old friends. Not loyal supporters. Not even family. The stories that follow are extraordinary, and historians still debate how many of them are true, exaggerated, or simply Roman political propaganda written by his enemies after his death. But taken together, they paint a portrait of a ruler spiraling into paranoia, cruelty, and unchecked power. He allegedly forces senators to run alongside his chariot for miles. He is said to have made prisoners fight wild animals for his personal entertainment, and when the supply of criminals ran low, he ordered ordinary spectators thrown into the arena instead. He reportedly wished the entire Roman population had just one neck, so he could cut off all their heads in a single stroke. And then there is the most famous story of all, his horse. Caligula's favorite horse, a magnificent animal named Incitatus, is treated like royalty. The horse allegedly has his own marble stable, an ivory feeding trough, a jeweled collar, even servants of his own. According to ancient sources, Caligula planned to appoint Incitatus as a Roman consul, one of the highest political offices in the empire. Modern historians are divided on this one. Was it genuine madness? Or was it something far more calculated, a brutal, humiliating insult aimed at the Roman Senate, telling them, in the cruelest way possible, that his horse was worth more than they were? We may never know for certain. But either way, the message landed. His relationship with his own family only deepens the dark legend surrounding him. Ancient historians accuse Caligula of incestuous relationships with his own sisters, particularly his favorite, Drusilla. When Drusilla dies suddenly in 38 AD, Caligula is reportedly consumed by grief. He declares her a goddess, and mandates public mourning across the entire empire. Are the incest rumors true? Or are they, like so many stories about hated Roman emperors, political character assassination written decades after his death by historians who never met him? It's one of the great unresolved debates of Roman history. What is not in doubt, is his spending. Caligula inherits a Roman treasury that is bursting with wealth, carefully saved by the notoriously frugal Tiberius. Within just a couple of years, he spends it all. He builds 2 massive pleasure barges on Lake Nemi, floating palaces with marble floors, heated baths, and gardens, vessels of luxury unlike anything Rome had ever seen. In one of his most audacious projects, he orders the construction of a temporary floating bridge, nearly 3 kilometers long, across the Bay of Baiae, made from lashed-together ships covered in soil. According to legend, he rides across it on horseback, dressed in the armor of Alexander the Great, mocking a prophecy that had once said he had no more chance of becoming emperor than of riding a horse across the Bay of Baiae. It was, in a strange way, Caligula proving a prophecy wrong, at the cost of the empire's entire fortune. With the treasury empty, he turns to increasingly desperate and brutal methods to refill it. Wealthy citizens are charged with fabricated crimes, and their estates seized after their execution. Auctions are staged where guests are practically forced to overpay for worthless items. Taxes are imposed on nearly everything imaginable. The Senate, which had once hoped this young emperor might restore their power after Tiberius, watches in horror as Caligula strips away what little independence they had left. He allegedly demands to be worshipped as a living god, ordering statues of himself placed in temples across the empire. He mocks senators to their faces, forces them into humiliating displays of loyalty, and surrounds himself with spies and informants who report any hint of disloyalty. Fear becomes the currency of daily life in Rome. And where there is fear, there is eventually resistance. By late 40 AD, a group of conspirators begins to form. At its center is a man named Cassius Chaerea, a respected officer of the Praetorian Guard, the elite soldier sworn to protect the emperor's life. Chaerea has his own deeply personal grudge. Sources say that Caligula mocked him relentlessly, mocking his voice, questioning his masculinity, humiliating him in front of other soldiers, a dangerous insult to level at the one man whose loyalty guarantees your safety. Chaerea begins quietly gathering allies. Senators exhausted by years of fear. Guardsmen humiliated one too many times. Even members of Caligula's own household, it is rumored, know something is coming, and choose to look away. The plan is set for the Palatine Games, a multi-day festival in January of 41 AD. And so we return to where we began. January 24th. The final day of the games. Caligula decides to leave the theater early, cutting through a private underground passage back to the palace, a passage he takes often, and one the conspirators know well. Waiting for him in the shadows is Cassius Chaerea and a small group of armed guardsmen. As Caligula pauses to speak with a group of young performers, Chaerea strikes first, driving his sword into the emperor's neck. Caligula, still alive, turns and tries to flee. It does not matter. The other conspirators close in. Blow after blow lands. By some ancient accounts, he is struck more than 30 times. The most feared man in Rome dies on the floor of his own palace, betrayed by the very soldiers sworn to give their lives for his. He is 28 years old. He had ruled for less than 4 years. In the chaos that follows, conspirators hunt down and kill his wife, Caesonia, and their infant daughter, ensuring no immediate heir survives to seek revenge. Ironically, the assassins never intended to preserve the empire itself. Some historians believe Chaerea and his allies hoped to restore the old Roman Republic entirely, abolishing the imperial throne altogether. But that is not what happens. In the confusion, terrified Praetorian guards search the palace, and allegedly discover Caligula's uncle, Claudius, hiding behind a curtain, convinced he is about to be executed next. Instead, the soldiers drag him out, and declare him the new emperor. The man everyone had dismissed as weak, awkward, and unfit to rule, becomes, almost by accident, the next Caesar of Rome. Caligula's body is quietly, hastily cremated. According to Suetonius, his remains are initially given only a half-finished burial, and Romans reportedly claim his palace gardens are haunted afterward, until his sisters later arrange a proper cremation and burial. The Senate immediately moves to erase him. Statues are torn down. His name is chiseled off public monuments. It is a practice the Romans called damnatio memoriae, the condemnation of memory. An attempt to erase a person from history itself. So, who was Caligula, really? Here is the uncomfortable truth documentaries rarely tell you. Almost everything we know about him comes from historians writing decades, even a full century, after his death, under emperors who benefited from portraying him as an insane monster. Suetonius, Tacitus, Cassius Dio. None of them ever met him. None of them were neutral observers. Was he genuinely insane, driven mad by illness and absolute, unchecked power? Or was he a ruthless, calculating young emperor who threatened the Senate's authority so severely, that they made absolutely certain history would remember him as a madman? The real answer is likely something far messier than either extreme. A traumatized young man, who watched his entire family destroyed before the age of 20. Thrust into godlike, unlimited power with virtually no one left to restrain him. Surrounded by flattery, fear, and enemies on every side. Whatever the truth, one thing is undeniable. In under 4 years, Caligula became one of the most infamous rulers in human history, a name that still means unchecked madness and absolute power, nearly 2,000 years later. His story is a warning etched into the marble of history itself. Absolute power does not just corrupt. Sometimes, it consumes. If this story pulled you in, subscribe for more deep dives into history's most infamous rulers. Every week, we uncover the truth behind the legends. And let me know in the comments, do you think Caligula was truly insane, or history's most convenient scapegoat?